All right, so we're diving into a career path today that sounds like something straight out of science fiction,
Mm,
but it's actually like a real job now.
right.
Autonomous driving specialist.
Yeah.
You're curious about this, and honestly, who isn't?
Yeah, it's really exploding right now.
These are the people making like self-driving cars
It's
a
fascinating.
reality.
Yeah, and for good reason, the technology is incredible.
Okay.
But it takes a special kind of expertise to actually build and refine these systems.
So that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yes.
You sent over some excerpts from RoleCatcher's career guide for autonomous driving specialists,
Mhm.
plus some info on their interview prep tools.
Great.
So we've got a lot to work with.
Yeah.
What I'm most curious about is what does an autonomous driving specialist actually do all day? It sounds super high-tech and futuristic, but I need the like
Sure.
down in the weeds picture.
Yeah, it's easy to imagine someone with a joystick taking a virtual car for a spin. But it's way more complex than that.
Okay.
Think of it more like designing the brain of a driver, but like a digital one.
Uh-huh.
They're working with mountains of data, everything from real-world driving scenarios to the nuances of machine learning algorithms.
So instead of like teaching a teenager how to parallel park,
Right.
they're teaching a computer to do it probably in a much more precise and
Exactly.
less stressful way.
Exactly. And they're not just working with any data. It's incredibly complex.
Okay.
We're talking about processing information from sensors like LiDAR and radar,
Mm-hmm.
interpreting real-time traffic patterns, and making sure the car can make split-second decisions, all while prioritizing safety?
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
It's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about doing it safely with like millions of lines of code.
Yeah.
No pressure or anything.
Right, and that's why this field demands such a unique blend of skills.
Okay.
You need a rock-solid foundation in mathematics,
Uh-huh.
computer science, and engineering principles, obviously.
Right.
But it's also a field that's evolving at warp speed.
Yeah.
So an autonomous driving specialist can't just rest on what they learned in school.
Right.
They have to be constantly learning and adapting to the newest advancements.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You don't want your knowledge of self-driving cars to be stuck in the slow lane, right?
Right.
But this constant need to learn and adapt that actually makes the field even more exciting, would you say?
Absolutely. It's that constant evolution that makes it so dynamic. Yeah.
And the work environment reflects that.
Okay.
It's not always about being glued to a computer screen, although there's definitely a lot of that.
Oh, so tell me more about that. Where else would an autonomous driving specialist find themselves?
You could be in a lab testing algorithms or on a test track, seeing how the car performs in real-world conditions.
Wow.
The RoleCatcher guide emphasizes that hands-on experience is a huge advantage in this field,
That makes sense.
which makes sense given how much of it involves real-world application.
So you're not just thinking about the tech in theory, you're actually seeing how it behaves
Exactly.
in the wild.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what makes this career path so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a blend of cutting-edge technology, complex problem solving, and a real tangible impact on the future of transportation. All right, so we're starting to get a feel for what the job entails. A lot of data, a lot of code, a lot of responsibility,
Yeah.
and definitely not for the faint of heart.
Right.
But let's get into the specifics a bit more. What kind of skills are we talking about here?
Right.
What does someone actually need to be good at to make it in this field? This is where I think a lot of people might be intimidated, right? Like, sure, self-driving cars are cool,
Right.
but do I need to be some kind of math genius to even think about this career?
Well, you sent over the RoleCatcher guide for a reason, right?
Yeah,
You want the inside scoop.
I do.
And they actually break down the skill percentages, which I find fascinating.
Okay.
Turns out a whopping 70% of the role relies on mathematics.
70%. Okay, that's a lot of math. So those late-night calculus study sessions back in college might have been a good investment after all.
Yeah.
But what makes math so important in this specific field?
Yeah, it's more than just crunching numbers. It's about using math to teach a machine how to understand and navigate a world that wasn't built for it.
Okay.
Think about all the calculations involved in even a simple drive down the street,
Right.
speed, distance, trajectory.
Yeah.
It's all math, but amplified. When you're dealing with a machine that needs to process all that information in real time
Uh-huh.
and react safely.
So it's like that classic saying, in math, you have to remember in autonomous driving, you better not forget.
Exactly.
Okay, I might need to work on my catchphrases a bit,
Sure.
but I get it, the stakes are high.
Yeah.
But it's not just about being a math whiz, right?
Right.
The guide mentioned other skills, too.
Absolutely. And in fact, right up there with math at 68% are critical thinking and problem solving.
Yep.
You're essentially training a digital driver And just like teaching a human, there's going to be a learning curve,
Right.
unexpected situations, and a whole lot of troubleshooting along the way.
So you're like a detective, but instead of solving crimes, you're solving traffic jams, or maybe even preventing them.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the importance of communication skills.
Okay.
RoleCatcher lists both written and verbal communication as crucial,
Interesting.
which might surprise some people. But
Yeah.
when you think about it, these specialists aren't working in a vacuum.
Right. You got to be able to explain those complex ideas to your teamwork collaboratively, make sure everyone's on the same page. We don't need self-driving cars going rogue because someone messed up the code and then couldn't explain what they did.
That's a bit dramatic, but you're highlighting a very important point. Collaboration is key in this field. You'll be working with software engineers, mechanical engineers, data analysts. Being able to communicate clearly and effectively both what you're doing and why is paramount.
So it's not just about being a lone genius coding in a dark room. It's about being a team player who can bridge the gap between humans and, well, the machines we're teaching to drive.
Precisely. And that brings us to the actual knowledge base that RoleCatcher recommends.
Okay.
Unsurprisingly, a strong foundation in engineering and technology is key. They put that at a whopping 91% importance.
Okay, so no surprise there, but it does make me wonder, what kind of specific subjects should someone interested in this field be focusing on?
The guide gets pretty granular here, which I appreciate.
Okay.
They call out physics, mechanical engineering, computers, and electronics, and even delve into specific programming languages like Python and C++.
Wow.
It's like a greatest hits of STEM subjects.
It does sound like a dream job for anyone who loves those fields.
Right.
But this being the tech world and all, I'm guessing it's not enough to just ace those classes in college and call it a day.
You're absolutely right. This is a field where continuous learning is essential.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher stresses the importance of staying updated on the latest research, going to conferences, maybe even contributing to open source projects.
So not just a one-time download of knowledge, but a constant stream of updates, like having the latest software installed but for your brain.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And that's something any aspiring autonomous driving specialist should be prepared for. The learning never really stops.
So we've established that this isn't your average 9 to 5. It's
Yeah.
demanding. It's constantly evolving, but it's also incredibly exciting and impactful. For someone listening who's now even more interested in this career path, where do they even begin? What does that journey from classroom to career actually look like?
Well, RoleCatcher, as you might expect, provides a roadmap for that too.
Okay.
They highlight the importance of a solid educational foundation pointing to engineering degrees as the most common starting point.
Okay.
Mechanical, electrical, robotics, those are all great paths. And depending on how specialized you want to become, even a master's degree might be worth considering.
So all those physics and calculus classes weren't for nothing.
Right.
But it's not just about hitting the books, right? The guide also talked about hands-on experience.
Exactly. Theoretical knowledge is great, but in a field like this, practical experience is invaluable. RoleCatcher recommends internships, co-op programs, really anything that lets you get your hands dirty and apply those skills in a real-world setting.
I could see how that would be crucial.
Yeah.
You can ace every test about how a sensor works,
Right.
but actually like calibrating it, troubleshooting it, that's a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. And a great way to demonstrate that hands-on experience is by building a portfolio.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher suggests showcasing your projects, highlighting specific challenges you overcame, or innovative solutions you developed.
So it's like a highlight reel, but instead of showcasing your basketball skills, you're showcasing your ability to code a self-parking algorithm or something like that.
Precisely. It's about not just telling potential employers what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And speaking of putting yourself out there, networking is another important piece of the puzzle. RoleCatcher highlights the value of attending industry events, joining professional organizations. Even connecting with people on LinkedIn can be beneficial.
It's all about making those connections, getting your name out there, and learning from the people who are already in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Actually, the guide specifically mentioned the Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE, is a good one to check out.
Yes, joining organizations like SAE can be a game changer.
Yeah.
You gain access to cutting-edge research networking opportunities, potentially even mentors who can guide you along the way.
So you've got the education, you're building your portfolio, you're networking your heart out. It sounds like you're well on your way. But let's fast forward a bit. You land an interview.
Yeah.
Congrats. Now, what should someone expect in an interview for a role like this?
Well, thankfully, RoleCatcher has a whole section dedicated to acing those interviews. Okay.
They even have a tool that lets you practice answering common interview questions, which is incredibly helpful.
Ooh, I like that because knowing the material is one thing, but there's always that added pressure of like a job interview.
Right.
What kind of questions can someone expect? Give us a sneak peek.
Don't expect just technical questions about algorithms or sensor fusion, though. Those
Okay.
are important.
Okay.
Be prepared to talk about the bigger picture.
Okay.
RoleCatcher suggests being ready to address the why behind your work, demonstrating not just your technical skills, but your understanding of the ethical considerations and potential impact of autonomous driving technology.
So it's not enough to just know how to code a self-driving car. You need to be able to talk about the implications of that technology on society, the potential challenges, even the ethical dilemmas that might arise. Exactly. RoleCatcher even provides some sample questions to get you thinking, like, how would you ensure the safety of autonomous driving systems? Or how do you address the ethical dilemmas these systems might encounter?
Those are some big questions.
Yeah.
It really highlights the weight of this field, how it's about so much more than just getting a machine to drive from point A to point B.
It absolutely is. It's about shaping the future of transportation in a way that's safe, efficient, and beneficial for everyone.
Well, there you have it, a glimpse into the fascinating, ever-evolving world of autonomous driving. We've covered the day-to-day realities, the essential skills and knowledge, and even some tips for acing that interview. What stands out to you from this deep dive? Is this a career path you could see yourself pursuing? And if so, what's the first step you're going to take? Remember, this information is just the beginning. The road ahead is open for exploration, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one behind the wheel of the next big breakthrough in autonomous driving technology.